Welcome to the CyberNova podcast. My name is Janus. I will be your host for this session, and I'm joined today by Mick Leach from Abnormal AI. Welcome, Mick. Can you maybe introduce yourself for our viewers today?
Absolutely. First of all, Janus, it's so good to be here. Thank you very much for having me. As you mentioned, my name is Mick Leach, Field CISO at Abnormal AI. Been there about 4.5 years. Prior to that, I had been building and leading security operations, engineering, architecture capabilities at Fortune 500 companies for about the last 15-ish years.
Okay.
Have 29 years in IT, and the last 19 of which have been focused entirely in cybersecurity. And then like a lifetime ago, I was in the United States Army, United States Cavalry, so for about 8.5 years. So that's a little bit about me. Glad to be here.
Okay, I cannot just brush over your experience in the United States Army, especially the cavalry.
Right.
Maybe explain a bit what motivated you to join, and then how did we go to get here?
Sure. So when I graduated high school in the United States, most of my friends went off to college, as they typically do, right, off to university. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to, sort of find my way in the world for a little bit. And I thought the Army would be a great place to go and see some things, learn a little bit about myself, and really contribute to, our nation's security. So I thought that was important. So joined that and had a great opportunity there. Okay.
And how did you transfer from that kind of defense and security towards cybersecurity? What was the prompt there, or what prompted you to do that?
Yeah, so it's a funny story, right? I was getting out of the United States Army, so I'd been in for 8.5 years and really only had a couple skill sets. And they don't translate very well outside of the military, right? Like shooting straight for really long ways isn't all that useful outside of the Army's confines. So I knew I had a family at the time, we had a couple of kiddos, and so I had to make some money. And I knew I really enjoyed computers. I had been tearing apart and building computers for quite some time, even through my time in the military, and had become relatively technical during that time. And so when I got out, I initially sought a role in IT. And did that for some time. I was, senior support engineer and did, IT things for a while. And then had an opportunity to bridge into cybersecurity. So we had at the time a firewall team that I was supporting and had an opportunity to support them a little bit. And for me, there was this sort of beautiful convergence of two things that I loved when I got into cybersecurity. I realized that I could defend people, I could protect people, which I enjoyed from my time in the military, but I could also do that technically. And so there was this beautiful convergence of both worlds coming together where I went, this is what I was made for. I was created to do this. And I've done it ever since, and I've loved it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that you first used Abnormal AI as a customer.
I did.
What made you think, damn, I need to work there?
Well, first of all, I was working, running security at a Fortune 500 bank in the United States. And we had some problems kind of slipping through, as all companies do. And I sat down with the founder of a small company called Abnormal. And I thought, it's still so early that we thought the name was kind of silly. It's a joke, right? But we sat down with them, and he said he could plug in 30 seconds. I was like, that's adorable that you think that. This is a Fortune 500 bank, right? We can't do anything in 30 days, let alone 30 seconds. You're out of your mind. And he proved me wrong. Installed easily, quickly. And then he said, in about a week, we'll give you a report of what's slipping through your current tech stack at no charge. And I thought, well, this is a win-win for me.
Yeah.
As a defender, I'm a big believer in you can't protect against the threats you don't know about. And so if I was going to get an opportunity for free to see what gaps might exist in my current tech stack, I'd be silly not to take them up on that. And so I did. Unfortunately, the report that I got back was extensive, right? There was a lot slipping through. And that was like offensive to me personally. Like it hurt my feelings because I had spent 3 years and $30 million building the tech stack of my dreams.
And it turns out
right.
It's full of holes.
Thank you. I mean, I was like offended, and
of course,
so we went ahead and found some of those things that were slipping through. We fixed those. Email's a weird thing, where if it doesn't cause an incident, which we would know about, and your users don't complain, which you would know about, you will likely never know how much is quietly slipping through. And that was my case.
Okay.
And so I bought it, used it for about a year and a half. And, it was about time for the next role for me. And I said, hey, if you guys would ever have a job doing what it is I do, like security, I'm not a sales guy. I'll never be a sales guy. I'd be terrible. But I'm a security guy, and I enjoy it. If you would ever have a role like that, could you just let me know? And they said, sure, yeah, you should look at our website. And I was like, yeah, I know. They said, no, I mean right now. And sure enough, there was a role out there that looked like it had been written for me. And so
here you are.
Here I am,
Okay.
4.5 years later.
Maybe from my understanding, can you summarize what AI Abnormal does?
Sure.
Exactly?
Yeah, so we're an AI company that is focused in the cybersecurity space. And so our premise is pretty simple. We're trying to bring the power of AI to solve some of the hardest challenges that we have in cybersecurity. Email is one of the chief ones. It's the highest volume thing that we have anywhere in any environment in terms of, traffic that's coming through. It's also the primary threat vector that most companies have, because everybody has to have email. That's still how business is done. And it reaches directly into the weakest link that every company has, which is its well-meaning people.
Yeah.
Right? Employees are trying to do the right thing. They're trying to do their jobs.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And they want to do them well. The problem is bad actors know that. And so they're preying on the good nature of our people, which is what bothers me. It's why I'm passionate about this work, because it's meaningful. So the opportunity to come in and protect people every day is important to me. But so we're bringing AI to bear on that problem.
Okay.
So rather than the traditional idea, the way we have historically tried to find threats, is we've tried to define what evil looks like, and then we search for that definition. Right? These would be things in our world like a hash value or a domain reputation, right? Something that tells us this is bad.
Yeah, like a red flag.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Where we're different is we said, what if we don't necessarily care what evil looks like? We only really care how it behaves. So instead what we're saying is, what does normal look like in your world? And we haven't been able to really consume enough data until AI grew up, machine learning grew up, compute got cheap, storage got cheaper. Then we were finally able to sort of tackle this problem. And so we flipped the script on it. And so we're saying instead, if we understood your environment so well, we know all of the people who they work with on a day-to-day basis, how they communicate, where the devices they use, where they normally log in from. If we knew your environment this well, unusual behavior, anomalous behavior would jump off the page at you. And then it doesn't matter if the attack has been seen before or not. The behavior will always be anomalous.
Yeah.
And that's the critical thing, especially now. You see, right now, bad actors, thanks to AWS and infrastructure as code, they can now stand up net new attack infrastructure every day. Right? They'll stand it up. It's never been used before. What that means is all of those signatures that we know what evil looks like, they're not any use to us because it's never been seen before.
Yeah.
So they'll attack us and then tear that down and start again tomorrow with a new infrastructure.
So you're kind of moving, it's basically very advanced pattern recognition.
Precisely. Yeah.
And you're moving from reactive to like, oh, this was something that caused a problem somewhere else. We know that it does, so we can spot it next time. You're like agnostic from that, just like, this is weird. This is not normal.
Exactly.
Look at this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Without knowing whether it's, really malware or an attack or just something that is weird.
Yeah.
You're like, this is something you should look at.
Absolutely, yeah, because you can identify. Let me give you an example, right? A phishing attack. These are very common in terms of email these days, right? Someone tries to convince you to do something over an email. So someone sends you an email, except they may even purport to be, right, pretend to be someone that you've worked with before. Yeah. But some of those things won't line up, right? The language will be different. The sending address will be different. The IP address will be different. There'll be some things that are different than we've seen before. And using like natural language processing, natural language understanding algorithms from AI, we can now consume the message body, read it, understand what's being communicated, and go, that's unusual.
So you're really saying like even like tone of voice or word choice can be a... Oh my God.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because here's an example, right? Like I'm not from here in Belgium where I happen to be today, right? I'm from the US and even within the US, just like here in Europe, there are tonal differences. I learned just a little bit ago about the difference between Dutch and Flemish.
Oh yeah.
I did not know that. Perhaps I confess my ignorance now, but still, the point is this, that maybe you typically would communicate in traditional Dutch, but somebody now is purporting to be you and using Flemish, right? There's small, minute differences, but it's enough to go, okay, this isn't right.
It's a check engine light that goes on like...
Precisely.
Okay. And how do you report that? Just now I'm getting into the product.
Yeah, it's fine.
Do you get like, is it an email that gets blocked, or is it like, check this out, he's speaking weirdly, or what's up?
Yeah, so we've made a decision, just as an architectural decision, to block things that are malicious.
Okay.
Right. So one of the dangers in solutions that I've bought and implemented in the past is that they tend to forward things along to the user and add like a banner at the top that says,
watch out.
This might be malicious. Be careful. The challenge with that is if my multi-million-dollar solution couldn't determine if it's good or bad, now we're going to trust Marcy from marketing or, Tim from sales to make a decision on whether this is
We're not sure.
Good, right?
Yeah.
With no training,
okay.
no security experience, we're going to put this in their lap. Yeah. That's a terrible decision, right? That's a recipe for disaster.
Of course.
So we determine whether it's good or it's bad, and we block the bad and allow the good. It's very simple.
Okay. That does make it simple. Okay. It's very interesting, actually. But I've also read that you've warned that AI can scrape like Instagram and LinkedIn. As a marketeer, I know, but I've never tried to use it for bad unless you define cold outreach as bad. But that's a different kind of discussion we're having. But what does like AI-generated targeted scam emails look like? What are things you are monitoring for like, this could be weird, apart from tonal shifts or something?
Yeah. So first, to your point earlier about cold emails, I mean, malicious messages are really just another cold email, right? The purpose is different.
Yeah.
And that's really what you get to at the end of the day is you try to understand intent.
Okay.
Right? And here's the difference, right? A cold email from a marketing company, the intent is to get you to engage with them, reply, have a conversation. Did you know that most phishing attacks today, for social engineering at least, the goal is the same? The malicious actor really just wants to start a conversation.
Okay, and
then lead you down a path to get you to do something, pay a fraudulent invoice, share your credentials with them, whether you mean to or not.
So the goal is opening a conversation, just get you to react, and then they've won, but game's on for them.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, makes me think.
It's scary stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because I just usually that's the thing. I delete cold emails, so I'm just like, I don't care. But usually I delete them from a point of view that it's not worth my time.
Sure.
But I'm not doing that as an act of protection from maybe being scammed. But apparently that's also a risk there.
Absolutely is. Think about how most of those interactions occur, right? Even from a safe marketing side, let's contrast the two real quickly. A safe marketing side, I'm going to send you something. I want you to reply. I want you to interact. I want you to, ultimately, I'm going to ask you probably to click a link and register to go to an event.
Probably.
Right? That's typically the marketing things I get, which is awful.
Maybe software.
Right?
Something like that.
Sure, something along those lines. The malicious side is really not any different. I want to get you to reply. I want to get you to trust me enough to click on a link that I send you to that will typically go to a login website that looks like Microsoft.
And then you get credentials.
Yeah, right?
But how do you differentiate two?
The key is understanding, like most companies, right? Most solutions that I have bought and used over the years can take between 500 and 1,500 signals out of each email. Abnormal has taken a radically different approach. We're looking at north of 40,000 signals per message.
So that's things you're qualifying on a scale of
Precisely.
like normal or abnormal, and that 40,000 times.
Yeah, and then you add all of that up, and eventually when you get, algorithmically, you can get to a point where you go, this is clearly malicious.
Yeah.
Right? When you see all of these things, right? An example, I've never gotten an email from them before. I've never seen the sending domain before.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, a legitimate marketing agency.
They're known.
They're known,
yeah,
right? They exist.
Yeah.
Their domain has existed for a long time, 10 years or more.
They're maybe flagged as spam, but not as malicious.
Fine, right? Which is okay. But they're not trying to, scam you out of something the way a malicious actor will.
Yeah.
So you add all of that up to go, this is malicious.
Okay. You mentioned that like scammers are targeting willing people who want to be helpful. How do you defend against that without just being unhelpful and superstitious and like, ignore everything that even is someone you've never heard before? Because that's also not the way to go, I think.
Agreed. So you've articulated the challenge of cybersecurity really well.
Okay.
In that, right, it's a delicate balance between supporting legitimate business and blocking threats. Mm-hmm. And so as cybersecurity professionals, we really have two levers that we can pull on to help protect our companies. One is like technical security controls. We buy great products, we implement those properly, that helps. The other thing, because no product is perfect. Mm-hmm. Ours isn't, we wouldn't claim to be, right? Nothing's perfect. Something's gonna slip through. And in that case, we need to train our users to be aware of what bad guys are doing today. So those are kind of the two levers: security awareness training, technical security controls. I feel like over the last 5 years, the technical security controls have gotten much better. I think security awareness training, however, has been broken for like decades. Mm-hmm. It's just not good. If you think about the way we train our users to be on the watch for a phishing email now, it's the same as it was 20 years ago, which is what? Look out for misspellings or clunky grammar, maybe a weird attachment or a link. Don't click on things, right? Don't take candy from strangers, right? That's what we've been telling them for 2 decades. The thing is, with the social engineering attacks that we just talked about, those tried and true methods aren't present anymore, right? Yeah. It's just a conversation. It's just a block of text saying, hey, Bill, it's Bob. Give me a call when you get a minute, right? It's this kind of stuff that's so effective. And that's the reason we've got to do a good job of helping our users understand what the bad actors are doing today, right? So it's got to be more relevant in terms of training, and it's got to be more timely. The 1 hour training that you get annually, that's not going to cut it, right?
No,
First of all, the training's bad. And nobody pays attention to it. And then 1 hour a year, that's not enough.
Yeah.
It needs to be shorter. It needs to be more pointed. It needs to be more and more frequent, right? So I think that's how we fix both aspects of this.
Okay. So like, because the bad grammar and stuff, yeah, with natural language, it's LLM.
Exactly.
It's just a done deal.
It is.
No one sends bad emails anymore.
Nope.
We're all thrilled, but no one sends bad emails anymore. You can see it's AI. That's a different thing. But like, it's you've called it an AI versus AI arms race at both sides. How do you cope with that? Do you try to get ahead, or is it trying to do a different route?
No, yeah, you're trying to stay ahead of the attackers, right? As a good guy, that's kind of our mandate. At the same time, bad actors it's a cat and mouse game, right? They're always innovating and finding new flaws. Our job is to repair and correct those flaws as fast as they find them, or build them. So it's kind of a cat and mouse back and forth. The difference is, we have lots of great vendors out there that are innovating, bringing AI to the game, and really creating effective new solutions to the problem. So I think it is an arms race. And as much as you will hear some doom and gloom, sort of fear mongering, security folks, or typically sales and marketing folks, say that not you,
of course not.
But never. Others, they try to convince you that it's all bad news. It's not. It's not. There's lots of great solutions out there today to problems that we all are facing. Find them, use them.
Okay, that's very clear. Maybe on that note, I saw that you wrote that 80% of breaches come from ignoring the fundamentals.
Indeed.
Walk me through those fundamentals.
Sure. It's a lot of times it's the simple things, right? In the U.S. we have football, American football. Here in Europe, of course, classic, traditional, proper football, soccer.
You've been briefed. Good.
No. Well, and I'm also a soccer coach.
Okay.
So I have a license from the USSF to coach soccer.
All right.
And am passionate about it.
All right.
As
Amazing.
You can probably tell. But the fundamentals are true, right? It doesn't matter how great your tactical game is, right? Like what we want to do with the ball if nobody can trap it or kick it. So the same is true for cybersecurity. It's we often fall prey to simple things. Data minimization. Don't hang on to things data elements you don't need, and don't hang on to it for longer than you need, right? That way, if you would ever be breached, there's less data to be worried about.
So throw stuff out.
Precisely. Yeah, throw it out, right? The principle of least privilege, meaning if you don't need, God-level access on a system, you shouldn't have that, right? Not everybody should be an administrator on their own personal machine. That's a terrible idea. Because bad actors will compromise your host or your identity, and now they have all of your extensive access that you shouldn't have had in the first place. So it's the little things. It's the blocking and the tackling. It's the trapping and the dribbling and the kicking. It's the little things that ultimately help prepare us to play the game of security properly.
I'm trying to make a parallel here that I've heard in a previous podcast with someone who does OT security. Mm-hmm. You're very focused on emails being a point of entry. How is that? Because I've talked with someone who was very passionate that the printers or the laptops or the phones are very vulnerable, and maybe that's the same kind of thing, because how are they vulnerable? But walk me through the approach of getting email as like the first gate that you try to lock.
Yeah. First of all, for our OT listeners out there, you're doing the Lord's work. I love what you're doing, because I didn't really appreciate how hard it is. Like in my world, a laptop's lifetime is 3 to 5 years tops, maximum. I don't have to worry about supporting anything more than 5 years old ever. OT, I've talked with folks that are like, the minimum life of this device is 50 years. Minimum. It might be 100 years, like printing presses and these kinds of things. There are wild things. So theirs is a different world. I recognize that. At the same time, access to those systems is still rather complex, right? Getting direct access to them, to those what will ultimately, in some cases, be vulnerable systems, the access is still hard to get. Not only that, but then it takes some sort of technical knowledge to exploit the vulnerabilities on those systems. With email, the bad actors need no technical skill whatsoever, none. Mm-hmm. They don't have to be programmers. They don't have to be IT experts. They don't have to understand exploiting vulnerabilities. They don't need to know any of that. They just have to be a grifter, right? A con artist, someone that convinces you to do something you shouldn't. The same pickpockets that are working the trains in Paris will tomorrow be our, phishing experts because they realize it's easier to transition and just do that.
So phishing is a fundamentally human business.
Precisely.
Wait, am I making it sound good now? No, it's real. It's very human driven. I could never know.
Right? Well, and like I said, in the technical security controls to protect our users from just text-based attacks and differentiating intent is really hard.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason that our security controls have for decades not been able to do that well.
Yeah. Maybe difficult question, but I'll ask anyway. If you're a cyber criminal today, put on your other hat, what emerging vulnerability would you be excited to try to exploit?
It's probably AI, right? If we as defenders are leveraging AI for good and bad guys are leveraging AI itself for bad, I think it's not going to be long. In fact, we're starting to see this now, but the hacking of AI itself. Whether that's by convincing it, we call that drift or hallucinations. You can create those. If you ask enough questions long enough, you can convince an AI to say something that isn't true. You can shift it. The other aspect is you can convince it, you can trick it into doing things it's not meant to do. We certainly have seen that. A couple examples recently. The Chipotle, which is a restaurant in the U.S. I don't know if it's here in Europe, but it's they have a chatbot on their website, and you could actually convince the chatbot to do work for you.
I need this information in order to order
That's right.
at your restaurant. And
Precisely.
it's like, oh, okay, let me help you write this code, solve this math problem.
Right.
It's like, I need it in order to place an order with you. And then it's like, okay, I am, programmed or instructed to help people order. This is what I'll help you with. Yeah, I saw someone who made the joke that's like, I don't need my Claude subscription anymore.
That's exactly right.
I just got the Chipotle chatbot.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's a funny example, but...
It is. And that one was relatively harmless. I mean, it still burnt a bunch of credits from Chipotle's Claude account, but nevertheless. But there are also a little bit more heinous kinds of things. We've seen... auto dealers in the U.S. Where they have a chatbot on their website. Someone convinced it to sell them a very expensive car. I want to say it was a Corvette for $1.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it agreed, and then it went to court.
Yeah.
And again, they had to abide by what their website had agreed to do, so they held them liable for that. I think... In terms of what's coming next, I see hacking AI being the next big thing.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe to round up, you said you were already more than 20 years active in cybersecurity.
Yes.
Closing on 30, if I remember right.
Yeah.
What's the one problem you hope gets solved before your retirement?
Oh, boy. Well, protecting humans is still at the heart of what I think is important. That's the whole purpose of cybersecurity is to protect companies, protect people from bad actors, right? And I sincerely hope, I don't know that we'll get there within my lifetime, but I would love to. It's certainly why I'm so passionate, why I work so hard to protect people, but I would love for us to see us get to the point where we can protect people more effectively.
All right. That's a very clear answer.
Great.
Thank you so much for being here. That concludes our podcast.
Awesome.
Have a nice time at CyberNova and enjoy your day. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Giannis. It was good to be here.